So, I made a video recently about Victor Wembanyama and what we learned from dissecting his 2 Summer League games. Now, let's talk about Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson. You know, whenever you have a generational prospect like Wembanyama enter the draft, everyone else gets overlooked. Miller and Henderson are both extremely confident guys, so confident, in fact, that they both believe they should have been the number 1 pick, even though, there's no chance that would have happened. Wemby he's just that much better of a prospect. Right from the start, they have a chip on their shoulder. They're going to have that chip on their shoulder for their entire careers, as their careers will always be compared to Wemby's. Miller and Henderson are eager to prove how good they are, and I'm sure they're more excited than ever to get the season started. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today, let's take a look at what we learned about Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson so far. Let's start with Brandon Miller. It's a terrible feeling to get booed on draft night by your own fans, and immediately, he needed to prove himself. He needed that validation to know that, hey, I'm the number 2 pick and the Hornets did not make a mistake by drafting me. Unfortunately, right when Summer League began, it was a disaster for Miller. In his first 4 games, he combined to shoot just 16 for 48 from the field and recorded 22 fouls, which included 8 fouls in his second game alone. Summer League players won't foul out until they hit 10, so I guess that's good for him. Yeah, he was struggling a lot in his first 4 Summer League games before he popped off in his 5th game, but there were plenty of good signs even during his struggles. Miller's shot is immaculate. If you've watched him at Alabama, this is what he was known for, a 3-point sniper with a silky smooth jumper. It's gorgeous. In the NBA, it seems like he'll follow a similar career trajectory. Paul George is a comparison that seems pretty accurate. Heck, Miller himself stated he grew up watching Paul George, and they have very similar heights and frames. The difference is that, with Miller being the number 2 pick, he's going to have the green light. We're gonna see a lot of these kind of shots. Even when he misses, his stroke, it's so beautiful. The biggest question mark of his game was his playmaking ability. We weren't sure if he had the vision and the instincts to make the right play or the right pass in situations like this one. While it has been kinda up and down with the turnovers, he has the right idea a lot of times. In fact, he even had 7 assists in one of those games. He usually turns the ball over while trying to do too much with it, but when he passes it, it's usually spot on. This area of his game was considered to be not entirely consistent, but honestly, his passing and playmaking has been more consistent than his actual scoring. Miller's capabilities of attacking the basket and getting to the rim is not his strong suit, and his handles are also very suspect. The scouts listed this as a weakness, and we saw him struggle in this area. With that being said, we've seen him have the motivation to improve. I mean, the motivation was there from the start, especially after hearing all the fans being disappointed in drafting him. Just due to his sheer length, he has the potential to flourish, and I've been pleasantly surprised by his all-around skill set. Miller has no shortage of athleticism either, but the playmaking part of his game will determine whether or not he'll end up turning out to be a trigger-happy 3-point shooting role player or an all-around star. Now, defensively, Miller made some headlines, and not for a good reason. After his second Summer League game, where he recorded 6 points, 4 turnovers, and 8 fouls, the haters were coming out swinging. It's common to see young guys take time to adjust to the NBA pace, and the absurd number of fouls that Miller committed might seem alarming. However, just breaking down his fouls, a lot of it was just plain stupid. Maybe he could have gotten away with this like back in college, but not now. Most of his foul problems can be addressed with good coaching though, cause it's not even his lack of quickness or his defensive instincts. In some games, Miller just seemed kinda lethargic and made boneheaded mistakes without even thinking. Most of his fouls are just due to him being out of position. So even though he's been miserable with all the fouls, it's a good sign that these silly plays can easily be fixed as the season begins. That brings us to his 5th Summer League game. We've been waiting for Miller to have a breakout performance just to shut the haters up, and here it was. 26 points on 8 for 15 shooting, 7 for 7 free throws, 2 blocks, and just 1 turnover. His game finally came together, His shot was falling. He was driving and attacking the basket effectively. It was a phenomenal game to watch. Also started to pick his spots a lot better, instead of forcing up difficult shots when he doesn't need to. Honestly, I'm just so happy for this kid. For a rookie to come in, get showered in booze, and then the critics salivating as he struggled in his first 4 games, and Hornets fans being depressed as always, to have this spectacular performance, it was the validation he needed. He really needed this. I know, it's just Summer League and all that, but Miller got a huge boost of confidence from this. As for Scoot Henderson, he was the guy who was supposed to be the number 2 pick, until Michael Jordan decided that he wanted Brandon Miller. Ah, good old Mike. One last effort to screw over the Hornets before he sells the team. Scoot fell to the 3rd pick and got drafted to a team that already had a franchise point guard, Damian Lillard, who was quite adamant that he wanted the Blazers to trade the 3rd pick to add some veteran pieces around him to contend. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. It's been quite clear that Scoot will take over as the franchise point guard, and Dame will be traded. Now, from what we saw in Scoot in the Summer League, he only played 1 game, but he also appeared in 20 games in the G League, as he went there instead of college. In that 1 Summer League game though, he was impressive. In 21 minutes, he recorded 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists, and showcased a wide array of skills that made him such a spectacular prospect to begin with. His initial draft comparison was Derrick Rose/Ja Morant, which, it makes sense. Henderson is an athletic freak of nature, not just his speed, but the way he contorts his body in midair, the way he adjusts in the blink of an eye, and you can't react to how quick he is. The explosive first step, you can't react to it. Not just that, but he's bigger than he looks. 6'2", 200 pounds, but he has a 6'9" wingspan and a well-built frame. The quick lateral movements and his body control, he truly does remind me of a young Derrick Rose. Scoot's biggest weakness, similar to Rose, was his outside shot, especially his 3-point shot. As a guy who went directly to the G League and started playing with pros right off the bat, it was a calculated risk that turned out well for him, as the experience certainly helps. His 27% 3-point percentage, however, that was quite miserable, but he didn't take that many threes either. When you're this good at breaking down the defense and getting to the rim, you don't really need a reliable 3-point shot right now, but you will as your career progresses. On the bright side, he did show a very strong ability to hit mid-range shots. It's kinda weird cause in the G League, he shot better off the dribble than he did on catch-and-shoot shots. Essentially, he's better at taking tougher shots. Scoot is the kind of guy who needs to get into a rhythm. I can see him shooting a higher volume of shots than most other point guards. Kind of in the realm of Russell Westbrook. I think shot selection will be a huge topic of debate in regards to Scoot. He's most certainly what I like to call a tough shot maker, kinda in the realm of guys like Kobe. Scoot doesn't shy away from shots like this, even if he can easily find a better one if he wants to. He thrives in these situations. His 45% from mid-range in the G League is actually quite good. It's a little bit above average percentage for a mid-range shot. However, it's still inefficient compared to threes or driving to the basket. The Blazers were only 20th in the entire league in shot attempts between 15 and 19 feet last season, basically the area that Scoot is most comfortable shooting in. So I think as he gets settled in, he's going to get more comfortable shooting from other areas. One great thing I noticed was his ability to read the defense and make the right pass. Turnovers were a small issue in the G League, and it's going to be something to pay attention to. In terms of passing and playmaking, Scoot's gradual development has been a sight to see. He's making accurate kickouts, some pocket passes. This is not a guy who has tunnel vision. I feel like one of the knocks on his game coming in was that he would sometimes over-dribble and try to do too much with the ball, or take a tough shot that he didn't need to take. We've seen some plays here and there where he still has some of these habits. Still, this is something that he'll grow out of as he gets more experience. Anyway, that's pretty much it for my initial impressions of Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller. If you haven't seen my video about Victor Wembanyama, it's in the description below. Obviously, in most other draft classes, Miller and Scoot, they would be talked about so much more. But because they're behind the most anticipated prospect since LeBron James, it's overshadowed how good they actually are. I think both of them will find success very quickly as the NBA season starts. Thank you all so much for watching, and let me know in the comment section your thoughts on Henderson and Miller. Do you think the Hornets made the right choice? I hope you all enjoyed the video, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.